For being here. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is Robert, Akashic Record consultant that was talking about. So, welcome everybody, and say hi to Robert.
Good morning, Ron. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday morning to you.
So, how is everybody's anxious to to hear about the Akashic Records because some people don't know, other people have heard about it. Um, so, can you talk a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in doing Akashic
Yeah,
Records?
yeah. Well, just for a refresher, I think most people are aware that the Akashic Records is a divine, energetic record of all your past lives in terms of your thoughts, actions, deeds, intentions, and that type of thing, as well as your present life, as well as future potentials or future possibilities. And so I first got involved in the Akashic about 20 years ago. I was at a Mind Body Expo, and a world class reader there gave a little talk, and I attended that. And he talked about a number of things that I was really fascinated in. And he mentioned that within the higher dimensional realms, basically linear or time is not linear. And so he talked a little bit about the nature of the records and that type of thing. And that sparked my interest. And so, what I decided to do was to learn how to open my own records. And so, I sought out a group called the Akashic Record Consultants International. And one of their teachers had actually visited up here in Minnesota. And so I decided that I would go through their program, which I did. And after learning my own records and getting comfortable with accessing my own records, I decided that I'd go through their program to learn how to access the records of other people. And so that was about 15 years ago or so, and I've been doing that ever since. And there's a number of things. It's one of the most divine energies that I've ever experienced within this physical plane of ours. And there's any number of wonderful benefits that you can experience when you begin to access the records above and beyond just information that you might seek. There tends to be kind of a healing experience as well, because once you gain insight into maybe a past life trauma or a past life relationship, how that's impacting this life, when you experience that understanding at a conscious level, what it does is it shifts your energy, and all of a sudden how you feel about it, it shifts that. So
Yeah, you did my reading on Akashic Records, and we had we went pretty deep, like in Atlantis. He told me I had 6 lives in Atlantis. He also told
yeah,
me I lived almost 7 lives in Egypt. That was
yeah.
special.
And many of the light workers that are here right now, you've had many lifetimes on a path as a spiritual seeker, or possibly within shamanic traditions or other, spiritual traditions. And so you've been doing this over and over and over again. And for the most part, my experience is and has been when I've read the records of other people that there's great purpose to you being here at this time, at this point in the history of our earth as we move towards this shift in consciousness, this global ascension as well as personal ascension. So,
Yeah, because I thought it was fascinating. Even though I felt that I had lives in Atlantis, I and in Egypt before I asked you that, and you confirmed it. That's what you confirmed my what I was feeling. So when you get confirmed, it sort of makes sense. I don't know how you say it. How
Yeah,
you
and
said it?
a lot of people will have a sense that, you know, maybe they were in Atlantis, or maybe they were in ancient Egypt, or
Yeah.
who knows, maybe they were in Rome during the Roman Empire. And so you can go in the records and you can explore those things.
Mm-hmm.
I was at Atlantis, but I have a real fondness for Tuscany, for example, over in Italy.
Okay.
So I imagine that I've had a really nice lifetime there. So
Yeah. Well, even though I had that reading with you, I had the feeling that maybe I had a past life with you. I'm not sure, but just the feeling that probably I had a past
yeah,
life with
and
you.
yeah, and that's another wonderful aspect of the records. As you know, in this lifetime, you may have very positive and loving relationships, and you might have some really challenging ones.
Yeah.
And that was one of my motivating factors, because up to that point in my life, I'd had some really challenging personal as well as professional relationships. And so, what I wanted to do is to go back and see whether I'd had past life relationships with these people. What was the dynamic? Was there a karmic cycle, for example, that perhaps needed to resolve itself and that type of a thing? So, and what's in the Akash is actually resonating kind of at your cellular level. So that's one of the reasons why Egypt might feel familiar to you, because it's part of your Akash, it's part of your past.
Hmm.
But,
What you were talking about my lives in Egypt, there was seven, if I can remember correctly. There was seven, and also you said I was the keeper of I don't know what you call them, scrolls or papers or programs that we brought from Atlantis when I reincarnated.
yeah, yeah, I think that many Atlanteans at the time of the destruction of Atlantis, they incarnated into ancient Egypt, pre dynasty Egypt. And they actually, many of the Atlanteans regrouped there, and they actually decided to bring forward many of the spiritual traditions um, from Atlantis. So,
Mhm. I also thought that was fascinating because people were talking about when you were on Andrea's channel, you were talking about crystals, the power of crystals, and things like that. That fascinated me too. So there's a question we have today from one of my followers who is talking about crystals also in there. But
yeah,
uh,
The Atlanteans were all about crystalline energies for the purposes of healing, as well as they learned how to weaponize the energy of the crystals as well. And at first, when they began to weaponize them, there were practical purposes for them. But later on, of course, that became kind of the instrument of their destruction. So,
yeah. Okay. So anyway, if you want, I want to ask you. There's one of the questions I asked myself. How big is your soul family? How many soul family meaning people you reincarnate with every time you come on Earth or something like that?
yeah, we tend to incarnate with a lot of the same people. And one of the reasons is that we may have karmic cycles that we have created or they have created for themselves. Cryon has often said that karma is the engine of reincarnation. So we tend to reincarnate with this group of people. And
Mm-hmm.
when I've got into the records and asked that question, and other people have asked it as well, it tends to, my soul family, for example, is 244 beings.
Wow.
And that is not, what I've discovered is that that's not a fixed number.
Okay.
I thought it would be kind of a sacred number like 144 or something like that, but that turned out not to be the case. So each
Mm.
person within the soul group also tends to have a pattern in their lifetimes, and so there's a purpose within that group. For example, they might be a teacher, they might be a healer,
Hmm.
they might be a defender or something on that order. So
So I wanted to ask you. You told me I was a stonecutter in when I was in Atlantis. So naturally, I have abilities to build things, which means structures or renovations, like I did in my house. Kitchen cabinets I made on my own. So that probably had the ability, natural talent, and came out. I didn't.
yeah, yeah, we are. We're the sum of all our lifetimes, and
Okay.
so if you have a natural talent for something, that's probably something that you mastered in another lifetime. And
Okay.
so
Uh,
the other thing,
okay. Go ahead. Excuse me.
um, when we incarnate, however, depending upon the path or the incarnation blueprint that our soul decides, um, they may decide that we're going to forget something. So, if your soul's path said to you, Ron, I don't want you to be spending time building things, that would have been deleted from your memory. So,
Okay. 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 Yeah, but that's before I started my own channel and doing these tarot readings and
I
things
know.
like that. I was sort of pushed into it, like encouraged. I said, but I knew there was something happened to me before because of this, what I'm doing right now. They sort of been pushed and pushed, and they were doing stuff on me. It scared the hell out of me, but I mean, I'm no longer as scared as I was because of the support and all these fantastic, amazing souls that are in the chat. Uh, it's something else. It's new to me, but it's great. It's amazing, the support. So.
Yeah, it is, and I see that with the people that I do reading with.
Mhm.
I see a collating or a convergence of a lot of light workers at this point in time, and that's a wonderful thing. So
Mhm. Was, what oh, for all the people in chat, below the description, I think it's called you see more, see less. You press down on the see more, see less on the bottom, and you will find all the Robert's website, and you will find his personal email. When you can book a session. And how long is your sessions? I guess we
typically,
are waiting. Excuse me.
typically, a first question would be, for example, typically an hour or an hour and a half. If you have a lot of questions, it would be like an hour and a half. Most people start out with 3 or 4 very questions to them. It might be something related to is there a past life which is impacting my health? I have a challenging relationship with someone. What was the dynamic in a past life? What's intended to be resolved here, and that kind of a thing.
Mm,
So,
okay. Now let me see where are we at. Okay, there's you got a list of the questions besides mine.
I do, I do.
Okay, so you can start with the ones in order, or
Yeah,
start
well, I
from.
noticed, I think Kimberly had a question. I noticed one of Kimberly's comments there.
Yeah.
I think there might be a couple of people in her life that she's just as soon not incarnating with again. So,
Okay.
a lot of people feel that way. So, in fact, that's one of the things that I find in the readings is that someone will say to me, I had a really bad experience with that person in another lifetime, and so why is it that I decided to incarnate in this lifetime with that
Hmm.
person? And fool me once, shame on me. If you fool me twice, shame on me. So why did I do that? And when we plan on the other side of the veil, of course, Ron, and I think that you've expressed this, we don't
Yeah.
experience negativity.
No.
And so when we're on the other side of the veil and someone who has wronged you in another lifetime will more likely than not approach you and say, can we do this again? And will you give me a second chance? And because we don't experience, we're not feeling that negativity, we would tend to say, well, okay. So, but you don't have to incarnate with someone you don't want to incarnate with. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And in explaining the process, there's a number of ways that you can open the Akashic Records. And everybody, in fact, has the ability to open their own records. So there's three basic ways. The first method, which is the one that I use, is through a sacred prayer. And the prayer that I use was handed down from the Mayans. And that is the prayer that is taught in the program that I was part of. And the second is through a guided visualization. And then the third is basically through a meditative process. So, but the process is that I open your records through the prayer, and once those records are open, then you have the opportunity to ask the questions that you would like. And it's all about your questions. And the more specific your questions, the more specific the answer will be. It's not unlike a tarot reading in the sense that you might ask a question and in the sense that it will open up other questions, just as you read multiple cards, for example. So.
How many questions do people need they can ask when they open up a session with you or book a session with you to open up the records? How many questions do?
Well, generally, there's 4 or 5 questions.
Okay.
Uh,
I had a person say in the chat, they left a question and said, Jean, she says, what are Akashic Records? Sometimes called the Book of Life, is that right?
That's right. Edgar Cayce often referred to it as the Book of Life. It's mentioned in 3 places in the Bible as the Book of Life.
There was another question that from Kimberly. She said, how do the records include individual names?
When I access your records, for example, I need to know what you consider to be your legal name.
Okay.
And then if you're asking about a lifetime with another individual, I need to know what their name is in this lifetime, for example.
Okay. How far, there's another question below, it says, how far back or forward can you go? Like I think they're meaning that how far back can you go and how far forward you can go, like reading the future maybe. Can you?
Well, in terms of going back, you can read all the way back to your first incarnation, and this might be tens of thousands of years ago, because we know Atlantis goes back almost 90,000 years, and similarly with Lemuria. So, in terms of going forward, when you're looking at the future, you're looking at potential probabilities, really, because every decision you make changes your future. But the records tend to be centered around what is your soul's intention, what is your soul plan for your next lifetime. And so my experience has been is that you can easily go forward to the next lifetime. And I haven't gone past that in terms of going forward.
Because I'm young and I'm only 18,000 years old. Compared to 90,000 years old. Well, I don't feel that old.
Well, I think a lot of people, there's a lot of old souls on the planet, and people innately feel that they are old souls. And if you feel you are an old soul, I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I am. Of course, I've been told several times. But wondering, all souls have a specific uh, purpose on Earth right now. They're bringing up more consciousness. Is that what you're?
Well, they're shifting the
Or,
consciousness, and so we're raising the energy of the planet, and we're shifting consciousness.
okay.
And so that's the primary purpose of the light workers and the old souls that are here. So,
How does free will affect the records? The free will affect the records or not?
um, well, you have free will always. And so, one of the things that the records cannot be manipulated by someone. So, your records cannot be changed, your records cannot be manipulated. And I can only open someone's records with their explicit permission. So I
Okay.
cannot arbitrarily open someone's records. There's some people, um, if a reader were to decide to do that, then it would be a spiritual voyeurism, and it's extremely frowned on. So
It's fragile, you see?
frowned on. you,
Oh,
you
frowned
don't
on.
want to go
Oh,
frowned
I
on.
didn't. Okay. Excuse me for yeah, it's funny. I heard something else. Okay. Now there's a question on there. It comes from Rochelle. I think you have it. Rochelle on your.
I might not be scrolled down far enough. Let's see. Oh, sure. Okay, Rochelle.
Yeah, it's long, but sure put. You can read it if you want because.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Rochelle says, I've been told by psychics and astrologers that I survived Atlantis. My dreams are vivid with a lot of messages, most of which I remember. And she goes on to describe this beautiful vision that she has, which is filled with colors, which is filled with sparkling colors, looking out of a cave of crystals into the clear blue waters and viewing dolphins jumping in the waters. And the cave is filled with different colorful crystals of all sizes. Yeah, that could very well have been Atlantis. Um, there's a number of things that we sometimes experience which will bring back a memory, a past life memory. It's within our DNA that we actually have the key and the code to access our records. And so it's because that's resonating at a cellular level. Sometimes we'll have these visions. So
Mhm. But I mean to get your answer to get more specific details, you need to book a personal reading with Robert to get more into details on the question you have or the questions you have, right? Because you need the
yes,
permission. He needs your permission to open up your records, your personal
yes,
records, and it's
yes.
done one on one. It's done on one on what is it? Zoom you use? You use Zoom to
I use Zoom. Yeah.
okay. So once you get into the booking with Robert, then he can go into details more specific. Here we're just answering in general uh, questions about Akashic Records, and he can go into your real details on your specific um, journey or your specific questions. So he needs to open up the Akashic Records to get that information, right?
Yes, yeah. For example, if someone were to experience, oh, something might happen to you, a butterfly might land on you, and you have a distinct impression it's one of your ancestors, saying, I love you. Assuming that I'm in your records, you can explore the truth of that. That's true.
Okay. Oh, that was well said. I love butterflies, by the way. No, I have where I live. I have 3.5 acres, so I see them and birds and things like that. So I love
Yeah.
nature. Yeah.
Well, people have explained to me that they've been inside like a shopping mall, and all of a sudden a feather floated down on them.
Hmm.
And clearly, there's no reasonable way. There's no reasonable explanation why that would happen. So,
It's like me. One time I had my hand on my shovel, and there was a bird that landed on my landed little bird, gray and black bird, a little small one, landed on my glove and went there and looked at me, stayed there, wasn't scared, and took off after. I was I was like in a impressive moment there when I saw that.
yeah, I noticed that Sheila had a question. She asked, I would love to know if you reincarnate from your answers. And I'm not quite sure if I understand the question.
Okay.
In other words, were you one of your ancestors?
Oh,
Um,
hmm.
so,
You
for
mean
example, were you your great great? I don't know. I'm not quite sure if I understand it, but I think the question is, am I the being that was my great great grandmother or something of that?
hmm
Um,
hmm
and yes, that could very well be. So,
And had another one on the panda bear. You see it on your list?
yeah, panda bear. Yeah, we talked a little bit about this. Can you tap into people you're dealing with to see things that happened so you can have an understanding, even when these things are not positive and mostly negative? Those are very common questions.
Okay.
Why is this relationship so challenging? Why is this person upset me so much? Even though on the surface, it shouldn't be over the top, but I'm reacting over the top. And so there would tend to be a past life issue there. So, and when you go into the records, then you can explore what that dynamic is. Was there a
hmm
trauma? Was there an injustice? Was there something that happened? And that energy is resonating at your cellular level. So, and when you bring that understanding, when you go into the records, you have an answer and you bring that understanding to your conscious level. That's when the energy shifts. It tends to dissolve that energy. And then you shift, and then it's not as challenging anymore.
It's like finding the cause or finding instead of living the effect of it. So there you
Right,
go.
right, right.
So next question is Amy.
Yeah, if an individual has significant issues with family members, such as lack of support, tribal narcissism, would you be able to trace this to a past life and identify the cause of the current life challenges? Yes, that's something that you would specifically want to explore. Is there a way to heal past life issues affecting this life? Yes, and the primary means of doing that is again bringing an understanding of what happened or what the dynamic was, bringing that to your conscious level.
So the next question we got is Connie Brown on the list.
Yeah, are deja vu incidents revealing something from the Akashic Records? Yeah, more likely than not, they are. So if you were to go someplace, um, I've had people that went to Versailles or they went to Chaco Canyon in the American Southwest, and all of a sudden they had a distinct sense that they were there before, or they experienced, there's a memory that they experienced. And so deja vu incidents tend to be you're experiencing something from your past life.
I forgot one question. I was asking what books have inspired you on Akashic Records that you would recommend reading for people that are interested in this
Um,
subject.
about 12 or 13 years ago, Linda Howe published a book called The Akashic Records, and her last name is Howe. And she was one of the charter members of the Akashic Records International, which is the program I went through. But she actually split away from that organization and formed her own institute. But it's a red covered book, and she's authored a number of books on the records. So, and in that book, there's actually, she offers up a prayer that you personally can access your own records if you decide to do it. So
Is there
it's a
another
very good,
book? Is there another
yeah,
book? Edward Casey, I think you mentioned
yeah.
once.
There's a book written by Richard, and I can't remember his last name, but he wrote a book which was basically his insights about all of the what Casey brought forward about the Akashic records,
Okay.
and it's a fairly deep rabbit hole. And so, assuming you have the interest in that type of a thing, yeah, by all means, I'd highly recommend that book. And if we have a way, I can give you the name of that book, Ron, for some of
Okay.
your viewers if they're interested, and I can send that to you so you can post it.
Maybe you could post it in the chat if you want.
I don't have
Oh, you
the
don't
book
have
in
it.
front of me, so
Okay. That's right. I have questions in the chat. Now we're finished the list. I have questions in the chat. Uh, it's on the screen right now. Silver, was I a healer in Atlantis? So
and I don't know without opening a records.
that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
if you have that sense, yeah, you may very well have that. So
Uh, I thought I seen another question here from Wayne. Is there anything from my past that I need to know that affects my current spiritual journey, and what's my next step? That also, I guess you have to open the records.
I would have to, yeah, I'd have to open Wayne's records.
Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can find some. If we miss something, you can always watch the replay. If people miss something, there's always the replay.
Yeah, Silver had a really good question, and her question is, could you please address Janet's question about the record keepers helping when you first access the Akashic records? Yes, they do. Um, Very much so. There's two things to bear in mind. One would be is that the record keepers and the records are very literal. So, for example, if I ask the question, have I had past lives? The answer would be, well, yes. And then I would have to ask additional questions. So you're always, if you're asking a yes no question, you'll get a yes no answer. And so, with a little bit of experience, you begin to ask the questions which will enable you to go a little bit deeper. But they're very much there to assist you. When I ask for the masters, teachers, and loved ones, they're the ones that are assisting me in the records. And so, if I ask about a particular subject, they know what I'm asking, and they will give me. They might be direct in answering the question, but then they'll offer something that might be peripheral, which because they know where I'm going, and so they're very helpful in that sense.
Hmm. Do you see any questions in the chat yourself? I'm scrolling down that I may miss. Yeah, I think there's another one.
Loco asks a very good
Yeah,
question
I put
too.
it on the screen there.
I had recurring nightmares as a toddler that felt like the ending of my most recent past life. Do children remember past lives commonly, and is there a purpose to feeling that pain again in this life? Yeah, I think that children have a much better connection to their higher consciousness, and therefore they're still more integrated in terms of their past lives. So, when I was a child, I experienced similar things to that. Is there a purpose to it, or is there a purpose to feeling the pain? I'm not sure that there's a purpose to feeling the pain again, but children tend to be more connected with their higher consciousness, and so they're going to begin to experience some of these past life issues.
Is the purpose to? I get the feeling the purpose to feel the pain. Is it likely to come in this life with those occurring issues? To the purpose is to heal yourself. Is that?
Yeah,
To heal from drama or heal from
yeah, you're healing yourself in the sense that you're going back and you're learning that trauma or experiencing that trauma in order that you can release it. So it's empowering and it's freeing you up to move forward. So,
Yeah, that's
for
good.
example, in one of my past lifetimes, in my last life, I died in a concentration camp, and so I there were issues associated with that I needed to deal with in this lifetime, and so that was one of the things that I was able to explore, bring forward, and understand. So.
Hmm. That's a good question, though. I mean, people have these questions in their mind and they're wondering where to search or how to find information on that and why and things like that. It's with the Akashic Records you can find this information, and you need somebody you can trust to open up your Akashic Records. You just don't go see anybody. You need a professional, somebody that knows that you can trust. That I can tell you.
Yeah, when I open the records, one of the things I don't want to do is I don't want to filter anything. So I do my level best not to filter the information that I'm getting, because if I filter something, I'm bringing forward my experience, which is kind of my bias, and so I don't want to do that because that wouldn't serve you very well.
Okay, there's another one I have here, Janet P. I put it on the screen in my 40s.
I became scared of heights. I decided it must be a past life thing because I was not scared of heights before. Yeah, it's kind of interesting as you move through different phases and chapters of your life, all of a sudden, a fear or a phobia might come up. And typically, it is associated with a past life experience. I can identify with that one because in one of my past lives, I was a I was a barnstorming pilot, and I died a violent death in a crash because I was probably doing something I shouldn't have been doing. So I had that fear of heights. But once I was able to understand where it came from, then of course, then it eased. And so, for example, I don't have any problem getting on a plane or anything like that.
So when you get your information, when he opens up the records, then you'll have enough information to heal this
There's a
energies in you.
exact Yeah. There's a healing of understanding oftentimes there's a healing of the heart that takes place.
Okay.
And so that's what helps you move forward.
That was a great question.
Yes, very good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find another one. I'm going scrolling down. Ah. Oh, Rochelle is here. Rochelle, we just answered her question a while ago. She just woke up. She had to do the replay. Wow, it's normal. It's Sunday. So, how was your weekend?
It's been a good weekend here. Yesterday was unseasonably warm, so we're kind of breaking into spring and summer here, which is everyone up here in the north kind of looks forward to that. So,
Hmm. I have another one here. It says Sajin in my youth.
um, in my youth, I had recurring dreams of a husband or boyfriend being killed in front of me. What was the dream supposed to be teaching me? Um, a lot of times in a dream, you're in the astral state, and if you're in the astral state, you more likely than not have the ability to experience past life interest. What was the dream supposed to be teaching me? I don't know without knowing kind of the context of what would be going on in your life and that
Yeah.
type of a thing at this particular moment in time.
Yeah, right. I was reading the chat. Excuse me. I was reading the chat. So, yeah, the only way you'll find all the answers to your questions is if you book a session with Robert, and the links are below where you click on more or less, and his website is there and his personal email. You send him an email, and that's how you
Do
book a
you,
session with him.
yeah, Ron,
Yeah.
do you have my Akashic Attunement site? Do you have that listed?
Yeah, I got a site. I don't know. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I
Right.
got both of them.
If you go to my site, akashicattunement.com, my email will be there and you can contact me
Okay.
through that.
Well,
And
I put both of them. I put both links in there. So I don't know. I put
okay,
both of them. Yeah. So I don't know.
okay, okay.
One is a site where I went to visit, and it was all explained Akashic records and different different things that you wrote on your site. And I put your personal email so that people can send you an email to book an appointment with you. So
Thank you, Ron.
okay, you're welcome. Let me see. Oh, I had a reading of a festival that was disappointing. I know now to research before I choose a reader. Yeah, because choose the real ones. You can tell if somebody's fake or not. You can tell. I mean, it's for me anyway. I can tell when somebody's real and somebody's not. You know, you can feel the energy. You don't listen to the words. Feel what you feel inside, then you'll know.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer, Ron. Kind of, you can be guided by your intuition in a
Yeah.
situation like that.
Hmm. So I'm going down. Doesn't seem. Oh, let me see. What's this one? I was a child, never had them as an adult. I don't know what that was about. Well, probably. We get when we get abused when we're young, we're like sponges. We take everything in, then we have to clean the toilet bowl. Sort of like clean it out because we got all the other people's stuff in there, except our own. It's uh, it's quite a journey to get out of that. the abuse, especially when people are abused.
Yeah, children see things in very black and white terms.
Hmm.
It might also relate back to the question was is that some of the things that you experienced as a child that were vivid memories, potentially of a past life. And as we talked about, yeah, the children tend to be oftentimes they're more connected with their higher consciousness.
So I don't see any more questions. Uh, the only way you will find all the answers to your questions is book a session with Robert. And when you pressed on what I had website Robert A Akashic Attuning.com. That's your website, right?
The website is www.akashicattunement.com, and my email is robert@akashicattunement.com.
Oh, I have your other email, not that one.
I would eliminate that one,
You
and
would?
then yeah,
Okay.
people can contact me through the site website.
Okay, because that's the one I had for to contact you, so I didn't know.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay,
That's
because
fine.
that's 369 gmail.com.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I put it on there. I didn't know you
yeah,
changed.
yeah. Cappy, I think, has a question. Maybe she just joined us.
Kathy?
Cappy, Cappy.
Oh, Cappy. Just a minute. I'm trying to find her. Oh, oh yeah, greetings, Cappy.
She
Okay.
asked if she can ask a question, and of
Oh,
course,
of course you can ask a question. I don't know what the question was, but or is. Welcome, Cappy. Uh, if you could post your question. Okay, there you go. I wanted to know what my family and society hiding. Oh boy, that's yeah. I don't know. What is it?
and we can answer that question. That's something that we can explore
Yeah.
when I open your records.
Hmm.
So
That's more like a question for a psychic to answer. It seems like that, and you can go further when you open up your Akashic records and find out all the details. I guess.
yeah, well, if your family is, if your family is hiding something from you, you have experience with your family members, and so
Okay.
that would be in the records.
Uh, there's somebody asking me here. It's Kimberly asking me, Ron, will you update Robert's contact info? I think Robert just told you that if you click on his website, you have the two. You have the website and also the email to contact you, right? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you told me, Robert?
Yeah, I can't see my contact info, Ron. So
Okay, yeah, I know.
on my
Maybe,
screen. So I was just saying, yeah, my website is www.akashicattunement.com.
yeah,
Um, and
it's
it's
below.
Robert at
Yeah,
akashicattunement.com.
Kimberly, you pressed more or less on YouTube. Go down below, you will see his website. So you click on that, uh, and it'll take you to his website, and there's more information there for you.
Yeah, Silver has another question down below.
Yeah, I saw that. I know you mentioned this before, but how does linear lifetime works?
That's an excellent question. We don't necessarily have to incarnate in a linear fashion. So, for example, you might incarnate you're in the 21st century, but your next lifetime, you might decide to go back to the 16th century. Um,
Hmm.
so, it doesn't have to be a linear process because in the higher dimensional realms within the fifth dimension, time is not linear. So,
Hmm. There's another question below that. Can soldiers use the records to heal their distress? I believe the answer is yes.
yes, yeah, I think that, if you're a soldier, you know, did your soul plan that for you? And more likely than not, they certainly did plan that. And so you can begin to explore what was the purpose and what was the lesson associated with that. And if you can bring those understandings forward, it helps a lot.
Uh, I have a question. When do you do book readings in the week? I think you explained to me on Mondays and Fridays or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, I've had to, due to my work schedule, I've began to book readings Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the most part
Okay.
during the week. And if people are working full time, I know that it's hard to kind of schedule a time.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to work with people to try to work something out so that you have accessibility.
Mm, I don't see any more questions. Oh, just a minute. We got another one here. Janet P. When you're doing reading and discovered someone was a murderer, do you tell them? Of course not. I don't want. I wouldn't tell them. I'd run away. Just I'd run away first. No, but I wouldn't tell them.
Yeah, well, there's no judgment. It's a good question from the perspective of the fact that
Yeah.
there's no judgment within the records. So if we were to go back and explore someone's past lifetime, you might discover that they murdered you, or and so maybe that's a karmic cycle that's playing out in this lifetime, but there's no judgment associated with that.
Okay. She says next. She says in their past lives. So that was her response to the first one you read.
Sure, sure. So, say for example, you learn there's someone that you currently know in this lifetime, and you discover that they murdered you or maybe someone else in a past lifetime. Do you tell them?
Hmm.
Uh, Probably not, just simply due to the fact of why would they believe you? But you would personally have that information, which is going to help you kind of understand the dynamic that you're experiencing in this lifetime. So,
Yeah. Well, personally, I wouldn't tell them because my job is not to disclose or something that you're. I don't know. I wouldn't do it.
yeah,
Not me, anyways. I'm like that. It depends on whatever. I don't do. I wouldn't do that. Not for me, anyway. Uh, what it says: if they were a murderer in this lifetime, I dodged that question. Yeah. Uh,
yeah. Well, the other thing is that they're not going to tell me.
oh,
They're not going to tell me about someone else if they're a murderer or not. So,
no, I don't think so. They don't explain things that way. They would explain things like they go deep, make you feel things, be making. When you work on yourself, you become more and more aware of things. And it's not like that. Oh, you were a murderer. It's not like that. It doesn't come out that way. That way.
yeah, it raises a good point though about karma. And karma is something. It's something that you do. Say, for example, that Janet makes the comment, "I'd hate to think I was a cool person ever,"
Yeah.
and of course not. And I'm sure you are a loving person. However, if someone did something bad to you, that's a karmic burden that they assume on themselves.
Hmm.
And so then they have the responsibility of kind of balancing that karma. One of the things is that in terms of personal ascension and global ascension, it's important for all karma to be balanced. And so that's why a lot of people are experiencing a lot of challenging relationships right now because they're clearing the slate.
Hmm. Because for me, this is my personal opinion or my personal vision. I think we are we have free will, and also because we have free will, we're also our creators of our own lives. So we create our own life, and you can only change you can only change you. You can't change anybody else because it's not your job to change somebody else. And if you try, you'll see that it doesn't work. That's what I'm saying. Just doesn't work. You can change yourself to be a better person. You can change the way you think, the way you do things, the way everything you can change because you're the creator of your own life. So that's my opinion, personal opinion. Now I have another one. How come so many people in this lifetime are hate filled and racist? Are they not learning their past life? Wow. Hmm. You know, that comes from the system above here, the belief system. They were implanted belief system whether either from their ancestors, their mother, their father, who implanted them these 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 belief systems in their mind, and they are like playing a cassette. They replay and replay the cassette and replay the same things that their parents or whoever uh,
Yeah, that
finished
could
this.
very well be. Yeah, that could very well be. It could be a belief system within this lifetime. It could also be just we have a lot of young souls, and when I say young souls, I mean by that not so evolved, and they're going through their lessons in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is hate-filled or racist, that's not an evolved soul because even if they were raised in a family that had those belief systems, they would tend to they would see something wrong with that.
Yeah.
So it could very well it's coming from a perspective of the soul's evolvement um, that's not there yet. So
So everything has a purpose in life. Everything has a purpose, whether you know it or not.
yes, that's true.
Okay.
That's true. And
Okay.
from the human level, when you experience those things, it can be very painful. There's absolutely no doubt
Mhm.
about it. So
Well, is I have a question myself. Eh, You know, when you're going through life, you've been abused, and you have a lot of difficulties. Uh, when you experience that, to me personally, it makes you a better person. Like, if you hadn't experienced those things, you might not be the person you should be, or whatever. Or
yeah, well, it's how do you react to it? Did it
yeah,
lead you on a path of spiritual development and expanding your own consciousness in an effort to heal yourself, or did you become hate filled? And so yeah, these are terrible things that happen to us, but how we react is the important part of the equation. So
hmm. Well, for me personally, that's my life. I can
yeah,
pinpoint that to my life. I became a way better person than I ever could be if I hadn't gone through that. I learned my lessons, or I learned the lessons I had to learn. But probably, I think we choose our own. We have contracts before we reincarnate with people, don't we? We have like contracts with them, life contracts for
we
these
have
lessons.
sometimes we have contracts, and sometimes we have agreements. We tend to have a lot of agreements that will come together with certain people. We'll experience certain things, and there's always the intent is that there is a win-win. It's a win-win situation.
Okay.
Uh, that's not the way it turns out sometimes because either maybe the other person does not step up to the plate. Maybe the other person does not basically experience the growth that they intended to, experience. And so that kind of it might leave you um, in a situation where it was just a hard relationship or difficult situation. So
There's Janet P says my mom used to tell me that the people that make me the craziest are my greatest teachers. Wow, that's becoming aware. Instead of reading. Oh, anyway.
yeah, I like that. I like that statement. That's fun.
That was funny. Yeah, but mostly everybody that I know in this chat and people that come to my channel, I know we are our group. We all been through some abuse,
Hmm.
whatever, all kinds of stuff. So we're all here to heal each other, support each other, and with love, you can heal everything. So that's what we're here for. And we have other ways than reading tarot, or you can go and see Robert and book a meeting with him. There's different ways to heal. So that's one way. There's several ways. So Janet says, the older I get, the smarter my parents were. Wow. Huh? The older I
Yeah,
get,
that's.
the smarter my parents were.
I think that's called wisdom. It's the combination of knowledge
Yeah,
with
yeah.
experience.
There's another one says, I used to feel like I was the oldest among my friends, an old soul, like I've done this before. Yeah, yeah, that's true. I've been called an old soul since I was a young purpose, young man. People used to call me, "Oh, you're an old soul. You're an old soul." Keep every time. They look at me and he said, "Oh, you're an old soul." They knew. I was wondering what they were talking about, my age or my soul. No, then I understood what they were trying to say afterwards when I got more mature. I said, "Oh, yeah, I have a lot of wisdom inside a young man who's supposed to, he's more mature than his age." That's what they were saying. They were saying,
Yeah, yeah, and we have hundreds of lifetimes, and
yeah,
you begin to, as you evolve, you do have innate understanding, and so um,
hmm. There's another question here. A book Bewitch. I have some fans in here. The people they came late, the others leave, and the others come back. Book Bewitch says empaths seem to be the biggest target as kids, and now even. Yeah, because you know when you're very sensitive when you're and the parents don't know nothing about these stuff, especially mine. My parents were both alcoholics, so they didn't know nothing about being sensitive. Like they
mhm,
were too drugged up or whatever to feel, but I could feel everything and intense. So that made me,
mhm.
you know, it made it worse for me because I could feel everything. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand this energy. Why was I feeling that? I was like, I could look at movies, see sad things on movies, and I start crying. And that when I, my age or when I was young, you were told when you're a man you don't cry. Wow, I I really did, and I was very sensitive. It
Yeah,
was hard on me.
empaths.
Yeah, it was
It
hard
is
on me.
hard for empaths.
Yeah.
There's jobs that empaths would not even be able to do. So,
Hmm.
or there's
Yeah. Right.
career choices that they would never take. So,
Well, Yeah, this career choices I didn't think I would do is put my face all over YouTube and start talking about this stuff. I didn't think I'd do it, but you see, I got nothing to lose. I got everything to gain. So that's the way I look at it. So I might as well get the job done. That's what I'm here for. Hey, I didn't know I was supposed to do it, but okay, Connie, I saw the floor tiles in my current school 8 years ago in a dream. Hmm. I hope nobody was buried under the floor.
Yeah, Connie might be suggesting that she might have there's the current tiles in the school um,
Yeah,
might be new, and she saw those in the past. So she saw something in the past that's new now. So
that's new now. Oh wow.
yeah.
Yeah, she predicted. Like remember I was talking to you and I said I predicted an earthquake before. I didn't know what I was predicting and my whole body shook like an earthquake in my house. Then then I thought it was I really thought it was for real. I thought my house was shaking, but it was me that was shaking because I felt it so much, so intense. Then I was looking at TV and to find out is was there an earthquake in where I live in Quebec. I couldn't find him. The next day there was a big earthquake in Turkey, a 7.7 or 7.6 on a scale. And I said, as soon as they put it on TV and I saw that, I said, that's what I felt. I knew it.
Hmm. Hmm.
I could connect it. I said, how come they did that to me? What's the purpose of doing that to me? Uh, like it sort of surprised me, things like that. No, but I did predict some other things before, but not as big as that. So, I mean, it wasn't the earthquake wasn't even near me. I'm not in the same country or not. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Well, have you looked at the notion that you're geo-empathic, and that is to say, that you're an empath, but you're empath to Earth energies as well. So
Oh, I see. So I would feel more of things that happen on Earth, or it could be volcanoes, could be anything like similar to that, or I guess.
yeah, you could. I mean, you would have felt, and you would have felt the tectonic stresses. You would have felt that this was inevitable. So
Yeah. Connie said that what she said about the floor, it's a 108-year-old building. Wow. Okay. No wonder they changed the floor. It's
well, if they did, yeah,
yeah, right.
yeah. There's a lot of old school buildings out there, no doubt about it.
So GGB, hello GGB. She says she has memories from almost infancy. I can remember dialogue and clothing from preschool and kindergarten. I would I would tell my mother, and she would acknowledge it and say some have memories that go back lifetimes. I can understand you because I have memories of my childhood, but they're how would I say they're like pictures in my mind. I was a baby. I was in somebody's arms, and it wasn't my mother. So, and it's something related to drama. Well, I have just that part, just short parts, but I can remember, even as a baby.
Hmm.
That I didn't think nobody. This is the first time I meet somebody that's talking about that because I haven't met too many people talk about this phenomenon that you can remember, have memories, even when you're a baby. So you go back a long time. Is that related to you being an empath, or is that related to your sensitivity when you're very sensitive?
I'm fascinated with the notion that she mentions that her mom understood
Mm-hmm.
that memories can go back lifetimes. So her mom understood that we live many lifetimes.
Okay. Now I have another I have another question somewhere. Let me see. Okay, Kimberly. In the reading, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. We've been on for about an hour and 10 minutes. In the reading on our records, how specific do the questions need to be? Oh, I mean,
The short answer is as specific as you can make them. Um, Before a reading, the thing to do would be to kind of look at your life and to go back over and see if there are any threads connecting things, if there's a pattern. And then your question would be with respect to such and such pattern, is there a past life influence or however you want to approach the subject.
hmm
So
now to the last question we had GB. Excuse me. Excuse me. GGB. My mother and grandmother were psychic. No wonder you felt those things. And you just made me aware. My mother and me, we were telepathic, meaning that I could sense her mind, or when she was going to call, I knew it was her right off. And she did with me like there's something going on telepathic. So I can relate to that. even though she, even though like I explained before, my two parents were alcoholic, but my mother quit drinking eventually, and that's what I felt when I got to know her a little better than when I was younger. Uh, Let me see. Boy, these questions are coming left and right. I was wondering what the fee might be for an hour. I may be very interested in an appointment with you. That's for you, Robert.
yeah, thank you for asking, Sheila. My hourly fee is $130 an hour. And some people opt for an hour and a half, and so it's not linear, so it's a little bit less than that. But
That's in U.S. dollars,
that's in U.S. dollars, and I'm not
right?
sure what the conversion is to Canada. But sometimes
Yeah.
it
Well,
gets. I use a
you know,
PayPal system, and sometimes I've noticed that it can be a little bit tricky. So
yeah. I know. I'm a Canadian, so I got it, and it was a little more than 130 U.S. because for me in Canada, I think. Let me see. I think was near the 160 almost when I did it at the time. Almost like 157, 159. I don't remember. That's why I said 160.
I say,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the Canadian. I'm not sure how PayPal helped you out with the conversion. I would
Well,
hope
I
it would
use
be
my
very
credit card.
simple.
I
Oh,
use my
okay.
PayPal credit card, and they they ask, when you do your PayPal, they ask you U.S. or Canadian. I put
Okay.
U.S. So
Okay.
130 U.S. and then when I got my statement, I knew. And besides that, that's besides that my credit card charges for the conversion, charges interest on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You only get
Yeah.
anyway. So
Yeah.
Sheila is in the USA, so it would be 130.
Yeah. I love Gigi's comment there. I couldn't get away with anything. Her
No, you
mom,
couldn't.
her mom with the
No,
psychic mom, and
no,
it'll
you
soon
couldn't.
be uh, as people begin to raise their vibration. Um, People will become well. What happens is that you're more and more connected with your higher consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
and so everybody's going to be a psychic pretty soon. So, and that's a good
Oh,
thing. So,
yeah, because everybody has the ability. But you were telling me also, we talked about what is happening now presently, globally, consciously, that this energy comes from Atlantis. You were saying like the
Well,
vibrations of the
yeah, it's often said in New Age circles that the energy of Atlantis is rising.
yeah.
And that simply means that in terms of our consciousness, we're raising our vibration, we're raising our consciousness by, being more firmly melded with our higher consciousness and our higher selves.
Hmm.
So,
I remember when you did the reading for me, you were mentioned the spiritual side of Atlantis, and you said there were two groups. You mentioned there was two groups at that time before the destruction, and one of them, if I can say it right, was called the law of one or something like that, which is that
yeah,
resonated for me. That resonated really strong for me, and I said, "Oh,
yeah, yeah. There were three incarnations of Atlantis, and the last one was about 26,000 BC to about 10,500.
okay,
And so, in that last incarnation, Atlantis fell into two groups, both spiritually and politically. And one was the Law of One, or the family of the Law of One, and then the Sons of Belial. And the Law of One, that particular group was the more spiritual group. And their concerns were more about basically, raising their vibration and taking the higher spiritual path. And the Sons of Belial, that group was more concerned with more earthly, more material things, and they were involved in acquisition of territories and fighting wars and things like that.
so they destroyed themselves between
It
they
was a
destroyed
civil war in the
civil
end.
war."
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
well, they must have had technology that we didn't have, we don't have today, advanced technology at that time. We're talking about
Yeah,
crystals and
they
things like
did.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So thank you for listening, Rachel.
There's
Thank you for listening this morning.
I could GB said I could astral travel very early. Yes, my mom. I knew what she was going to say before it left my mouth. Her mouth. Yeah, I can understand that. Mhm. GB also says I would love to do a past life. Well, all you have to do is book a session with Robert. You could trust him. He's amazing. I mean, I had a wonderful reading with you. Really,
Thank you, Ron.
yeah.
Thank you.
So, oh, well, we've been on for an hour and 17 minutes. Hi, oh, there's people showing up again. Hi,
Yeah.
Linda. You'll have to watch the replay. So, anyway, hey, that was a good session, Robert. I thank you for coming on, and
Thank
I,
you for having me on, Ron. It's been an honor.
yeah,
It's been a pleasure. It's been
well,
fun. So,
yeah, I was happy to meet you when after I saw you on Andrea's channel, and I watched practically all her videos, and the last one you did, it was on crystals. I was,
mhm,
it wasn't live, but it was pre-recorded, I guess that one.
mhm.
Yeah. So don't forget to contact Robert for book a meeting, and all your questions will be answered personally uh, in the Akashic Record opening. He needs your permission. He uses Zoom to do one-on-one. He does it one-on-one. That's what you're doing, eh?
Mhm. Mhm.
You don't. I don't think he could. I never seen anybody open records like 3, 4 at the same time because it doesn't work. It usually works one-on-one.
You
I never
might be
seen
able to
that.
open. My teacher used to be able to open the records for a group of people, but I think it
Yeah.
was a little bit different.
Wow.
I had a man and a wife come to me, and as I recall, I might have opened both their records at the same time because they wanted to kind of explore some things. So,
Okay. So Thank you,
Okay.
Robert, an amazing person. You're an amazing soul, and I just love you. So that's all. You got beautiful energy, by the way, and yeah, no. Uh, Thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Okay,
Been an honor to be with you, Ron. And
so if I have other questions, maybe I can invite you back sometime.
yeah,
You know, you
sure,
never know
sure,
because sometimes I get feedback after. Feedback from everybody. Oh, yeah, geez, I want to know something. That's I getting questions after. So people,
sure,
oh, I missed it.
absolutely.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay, Ron. Well, thank you very much. It's been an
Okay,
honor
thank
and a
you.
pleasure,
Okay,
and very much. And
bye.
bye, you all. Have a wonderful Sunday.
You too.
Bye now.
Take care. So I'm gonna end the screen and thank you for being here and love you guys. Uh, so you can watch the replay and all this information on how to reach Robert is below. So thank you. Bye. Have a great weekend. Okay. Thank you for being here and thank you for the great questions you had. So thank you. Bye. I'm gonna end the stream. Take care.